You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 19th show. You can also listen to our podcast, Facebook premiere show, or on our show YouTube channel. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint, 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, we have Carolyn Guilford of Health Restoration Consulting. Chronic illness is reversible. Right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tina.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And a little bit about Carolyn. Carolyn always said that she wanted to become a nurse, even when she didn't know what it meant. In high school, she went to a local college that offered a BS in nursing and loved it. Having never been sick, nor did she know anyone who was sick, it brought to learn compassion and wanted all of her patients to be well. After school, she went to work as a critical care nurse, and she loved that as well. And she was known to eagerly accept patients that others hid from, which opened other opportunities, including advanced education leading to certification. Carolyn always sorts information on the causes of illnesses of her patients. However, it was years later, a chance phone call that would lead her to answers that she had long sought. An invitation to join a regional health study opened the door to a new life.
Carolyn, you are such a caring person, and you care so much about people's well-being. So how did this all come about?
Well, for me, my aunt was a nurse, and she was very, very much in my life as I was growing up. She was a nurse. I was enthralled by the white uniform, the blue cape. I wanted to grow up to be like her. Didn't know a thing about what she did. So as I got older, she would take me with her when she went to visit some of her patients. Of course, they were out of the hospital by this time, but they were also getting continued care. And I had an opportunity to just watch her, how she operated. She was so kind and so patient with them. She would assess them and attend to whatever they needed. And I learned to do that from her.
I love that story because I literally was visualizing you as a little girl, looking at your aunt in her nurse's uniform, and what a great thing that she embraced that interest and allowed you to see some of the behind the scenes, and that it brought you passionate about what you're doing today. So, what brought you from an RN to holistic advocate and coach?
Well, I wanted to, when I worked in ICU, I wanted to know what made people sick. And because I didn't know anybody who had been sick, I'd never been sick myself, I didn't have a clue as to why some of the things happened to people. And it always disturbed me. Now, I was acquainted with accidents. I'd seen many people who were in the hospital due to an accident. But my question became, what causes the body to fail from the inside? What are these diseases that cause people to be sick and can't get well? And so my question started then, mostly because I wanted not to get in the situation that they were in. I didn't want to have these problems. But the answer was not there. The answer in ICU is always surgery, medication, and it doesn't always work. We need to know the cause, the root cause of illnesses. And so one day I got a call and I was offered an opportunity to work in a health study. And the major players in this study was the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, Vanderbilt University, and Morehouse College, and some others. And it was here that I learned that poor nutrition, and nobody thought much about what you eat at that point, but poor nutrition leaves the body vulnerable to failure. And so that is when I switched gears, left ICU, went to work with this study and learned all this great stuff. But of course, the health study was not long-term. And when it ended in Savannah here, I went to working as a clinician in a small clinic. Well, in this clinic, I had the opportunity to teach what I had learned from the National Institutes of Health and prepare clients to change their diet, to lead a more healthy life, to get more exercise, and also to take personal responsibility for their health and their well-being.
I love that, Carolyn. That's so important, for you to take accountability for your actions and what you're doing. And I see this amazing transition in our world right now. We used to blindly just follow Western medicine, pop some pills and it'll go away. Now people, I think, are thinking differently and a little deeper. And you're out there teaching this to people to find the source of why you feel that way and be accountable for yourself to do. And it's not easy for some people, and they can often, just like anything else, come up with excuses. What do you hear from people as far as their excuses and why they don't move forward in a healthy direction?
It's too hard. It's what everybody does.
Yeah.
I don't have time to do this. It just takes up too much of my time, and I don't have it like that. They have all kinds of excuses, but it's taking personal responsibility. It is knowing what you want. I spoke with a lady this morning who told me that she deserved a better quality of life. And I had to stop her and congratulate the way that she's thinking about her life and her future. We can't always rely on somebody else to make us better. We've got to take the initiative ourselves to want better, and then to be willing to do what it takes to make those changes so that we can have the life we want.
Yeah, and what a great affirmation. I deserve to have a better life, or I deserve to have the best life. I deserve to have the most healthy life. And yeah, you've got to take action. You have to make the time. I mean, just if you say that to yourself, I don't have time, just add to it, I don't have time to live a healthy life. And yeah, it might help you change your habit. So Carolyn, what was the most challenging condition that you've treated?
Most challenging would be a toss-up between cancer and kidney failure. Cancer, because most persons are in shock when they get a diagnosis of cancer, because they know so many people, they know people who did not survive the cancer. So it becomes very, very scary for them. And kidney failure, because even though many persons live a long time on dialysis, and it's a great tool for that person, but it's difficult. It is a hard life, not only for the patient, but also for the family. So these are the most challenging, because cancer patients are afraid to do something different from what their doctors are going to offer them, and take responsibility for themselves. Persons with kidney failure, even though they're afraid and are having a difficult life, they want better. They want for life not to be so dull. 3 days in dialysis, after that, you have no energy, no life, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. it becomes very, very limiting. But once they begin the program that we teach them, their life changes, and it changes quickly. It's a long-term process. It's not magic. It's not a short-term fix. It's not something that you can do for a little while, get better, and then go back to your old habits. It is a lifestyle change, and we've had great success with both our cancer patients and also with persons who've had dialysis. We've actually been able to get people off of dialysis. Their kidneys will go back to working properly.
That is unbelievable. That's crazy. And I believe it. The power of plants, the power of, what's given on this earth is extremely powerful for people if they are willing to use it. Have you had any personal experience with a health scare that caused you to want to change your lifestyle? Because I imagine a thing like a cancer or dialysis could definitely scare somebody into changing directions. Have you experienced this yourself?
Actually, I have not had any personal health challenges, but I did have an opportunity to make a major lifestyle change when my house caught fire. And I liken it to what cancer patients go through. My home, I got a phone call that my house was on fire, and I was totally and completely horrified. Everything in my world changed that day. The work I did stopped. I had to make some major decisions about myself and my future, what I wanted. I had to find outside resources, outside my scope of knowledge. I had a steep learning curve to master. I had to focus solely on saving and restoring my home, way outside my comfort zone. But I was able to successfully save and restore my home, and I used these very skills that I teach my clients as we work together to restore their health and to save their lives. It's hard work, it's long, it's tedious, and everything you do, everything you have will go into doing this and to win.
Yeah.
And to win. And so that's what I try to teach my clients. You going into this to win, and everything you've got in you, you've got to put to it.
Absolutely. And I love, the tragedy to triumph, and definitely going through that tragedy yourself and turning it into a triumph and then sharing that with others. So we have less than a minute left, but I would love to ask you, and if you can answer quickly, what would you say to people who dispute research about plant-based data? It's eating too many carbs, not getting enough protein, all of that.
Well, we believe what we hear a lot, and the message in the media, the message in advertising always is about you need more protein and carbs are bad. Well, what they don't tell you is that broccoli is a carb, sweet potatoes are carbs, and these are the natural foods that we were intended to eat on this earth. Not all carbs are bad. What carbs are bad is the processed food that is made, I call it built, in a factory. But real food that grows out of the ground is the food that really has the nutrients that allows the body to stay well, to get well, to repair, and to live a long, healthy life.
Yes. Wow. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing with our listeners about health and the importance of it. Can you go ahead and shout out your website?
My website is, let me tell you, it's called Health Restoration 101. And this was the first class, the first nursing class that we took in college. And to find that Health Restoration 101,
I love it,
as a website moniker, just blew my mind. healthrestoration101.com.
It was meant to be that you were able to secure that domain. Carolyn, thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us in studio. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.